What is good, ladies and gentlemen? We are back with another episode of the Bird Flock podcast. Shanner, it's been way too long, way too long. I think
Way too long.
I think we've both been hit with the summer grind a little bit, working and doing our thing. We haven't had the time to hop on the mic, but since we've been gone, I think the Owls have won what, four straight, three straight. The boys are
Something
rolling.
like that, yeah.
Boys are rolling. And coming off, I think you can say without a doubt, the most exciting game of the year. Electrifying. Electric.
Wild.
Obviously, the Montreal Alouettes played the Ottawa Red Blacks, went down early, stayed down a lot of the game, and came back in the fourth quarter down 14 to come back and win by one singular point. Obviously, the game was in Ottawa, and Shayner and I were in attendance. Shane, what do you first of all, the last few games, what's kind of on your mind, and just more specifically that this last game in Ottawa?
I just want to talk about how crazy of a game it was. The fact that I was literally walking out of the stadium
Me too. Me too. So
and came back in to watch the Alouettes win a game.
yeah. So me and Shane weren't there together. But when Caleb Evans threw what would have been his fourth pick, I think.
Oh
Something like that. When he threw what would have been his fourth pick that got called back, Shane and I, without talking to each other, got up out of our seats and were ready to go. I don't know if you made your way to the exits yet.
I did. I was literally like on my way out, going to take a pee, and I hear like the ref saying call was reversed.
Yeah.
And then I'm standing there waiting for like my sister and her friends in the bathroom. And I'm watching the Tyler Snead touchdown on like those TVs they have like near the concession. And my sister's like, all right, you ready to go? And I was like, no, like we're going back in.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean? And I was like, they reversed the interception. He just scored. Like it's a 3-point game or whatever.
Yeah. No, I was the same thing. I was like, because I stayed in my seat. I was looking at my girlfriend. I'm like, you want to go? And she has no idea what the fuck's going on. She's like, why? I'm like, we're down 15, and he just threw his fourth pick of the game. Like, I'm done here. And she's like, oh, okay, we can go. And then by the time that happened, I hear whatever the under automatic review by the command center. I'm like, all right, let me hear this out. And then I see the replay, and I don't see why it was overturned.
I don't get why. I literally, like, my sister was like, I thought he caught it. I was like, he did, but I'll take it. Like,
yeah. And then they reversed it. Tyler Snead scored the next play or something like that. And the rest is history. Obviously, great defensive stops. Caleb Evans ran it in with 17 seconds or something like that left in the game. Not even. I don't even know what else to say. Like, it was
one of just the best games to be at. Like I couldn't even imagine it going like that. A little upset that my bet didn't hit, but you know what? I'm happy the Owls won the game.
also, so Shaner's bet was Owls minus 1.5.
-1.5, and they went for 2.
So they went for 2, which if you just kicked the PAT would have cashed.
Yeah.
But essentially what that means for non-betting people is Shane bet the Owls to win by at least 2 points. That's how his bet would have cashed. But friend of the show, Reggie Stubblefield, was looking out for you. I thought like he just knew Shaner had -1.5 when he had that interception on the last play of the game.
Dude, if he scored, I would have jumped on the field with him.
Dude, not 99 times out of 100, a DB takes that and he
Slides.
runs out and slides. Reggie had the fucking house on his mind. He was going to score. But obviously got tripped up by an old lineman. But
dude, I swear to God, if he scored, I was jumping on the field. I don't care. They would have had to escort me out of there.
But like we haven't really spoken much since Reggie's been inserted into the starting lineup on here. But what a fucking few games he's been having. He was
amazing.
top-rated PFF DB 2 weeks ago. Obviously had the interception this week. It just blows my mind. And I mean, we weren't fans of the move to begin with, but it blows my mind how he was ever cut out of training camp.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that if you sit there and you watch the episode of us being furious about him getting cut, I think, and you didn't understand why we were furious, I think right now you understand why we were furious about the move. I know it took a lot of injuries and stuff for him to get on the field, but this is just proving that he deserved to be on the field the whole time. And it's really adapted to the game quite quickly. And in the interview that when I had with him couple of months back, just talking about his versatility, and that's exactly what he's showing.
Yep.
Every play, really, whether he's at, you know, closer to the line of scrimmage or he's deeper, playing inside, outside. Sometimes I think he's even getting some reps near the linebacking core. He's just showing why it's so valuable to have him on the team, and why it was such a question mark that you cut such a versatile guy, especially in a defense that you look at two of the linebackers are essentially DBs in Bev and Najee Murray. Guys like that you kind of change their positions, and you would think that Reggie Stubblefield would have stayed. But nonetheless, I think a lot of teams are sitting there being like, damn, how did we not,
How did we not pick up the phone when he got cut?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, he's excited to be here and talking to him. Recently, he's excited to be here. He's happy it's Montreal. He wants to give everything for the city, like he said in that interview, and that's exactly what he's doing. And man, he's just one of those guys who wears his heart on his sleeve, and it's like amazing to see a guy like that succeed.
Yeah, no, 100%. I love it. This is the type of guy that could be here for 5+ years and be that like staple on a defense and like a fan favorite on a defense. I could totally see it.
Look, and I just think like losing the face of the franchise, if you want to say that, and Geno Lewis and the fan favorite, Montreal's looking for a new guy to rally behind, and it's very hard not to put him in the conversation with the way the past couple weeks have gone.
I agree, and he's just got the name for it too. Like Reggie Stubblefield's a fucking
the sauce boss, baby.
Yes, sir. I had no idea. I had no clue. His family was the Stubbs barbecue sauce and all that. I had no idea. Makes sense. But that's actually fun and something like we didn't talk about or plan on speaking about. But if you were to say, like you said, the Owls need a new face of their franchise. If you were to like give a top 3 right now into who you think those people are, what would you say?
Listen, I think and everybody's number one is going to be the same thing. I think, and I think it's William Stanback is the number one option. Look, I want to throw Cody in there the way he's played this year. I know he's under a 2-year contract, but I think just the way he's played this year and it's kind of bounced back to that MOP form.
Yep.
And then honestly, defensively, I think it has to be Reggie in the conversation at some point.
Yeah.
Just the way he's played. I feel like the most I see about someone on defense, aside from Dequoy, so I'm going to put Dequoy at 3. It is Reggie, the person I hear most about the past couple weeks on the defensive side of the ball.
I agree. And another one we hear all the time over the last 4 weeks is Sean Lemon, who...
Oh, buddy, what a signing.
What a signing. We're 4-0 since Sean Lemon joined.
He completely revamped the defense.
Completely. And I'm sure we haven't spoken to him yet. We're in the process of setting up something with him, and he wants to get his roots settled here in Montreal a little bit before he hops on with us. But I think he'll admit he's maybe too far into his CFL career and has played for too many teams to be considered the face of the Alouettes right now. So I won't give him that title. I think number one, you said it has to be William Stanback, just for what he does in the city too, and how involved he is in the city and how much he loves the city. There's no doubt in my mind that he has to be the face of this team and is the face of this team. But a name you didn't mention is obviously Austin Mack, who continues to impress, continues to shine. And I think it's safe to say he's not going to slow down this year. And the first game of the season wasn't a fluke. The first 3 games of the season weren't a fluke. And now the first half of the season wasn't a fluke either. This guy's just a player, man. He is just a straight up player. Like, and you really clearly see it now. Defenses are keen on him. He's getting double covered. He has a safety looking over top of him, whatever it is. But he's finding ways to get open, and he's having those 75 to 100 yard games consistently. And it's just it's amazing. And I think after Geno left, Montreal is looking for a receiver to cling on, and like the fans at least are looking for that guy. And I think Austin Mack has quickly become that. Like in Ottawa, I saw like 3 or 4 of the red Austin Mack jerseys.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I saw like maybe 2 or 3, but yeah, I saw a bunch of the Austin Mack jerseys. And I think the last one you have to give it to Dequoy too. Just obviously being from Quebec, like when they announced the starting defense at Percival Molson, like Dequoy, without a doubt, gets the loudest cheer, and it makes sense. He's a hometown boy, Montreal Carabin alum. So I think you got to put him there as the face of the franchise too.
Yeah. Going off the receiver thing, if you just look at Montreal's history with receivers, we're talking about guys in my lifetime like Kerry Watkins, S.J. Green, Jamal Richardson, like Brian Bratton. Like this is all like Montreal's always had big time receivers, and I think Austin Mack is just cementing his name to that list right now. But I want to talk about Tyler Snead, man, because that 1 week where he had the 3 touchdowns, he's proven like Austin Mack, it was not a fluke. This guy's come in and in a way where I thought that Tyson Philpott was coming in back healthy, going to be that number 2 receiver role and take Keon's reps. Essentially, it's essentially what Tyler Snead's doing right now. Is he's becoming that security blanket that Keon was for quarterbacks.
Yep.
I know it was Caleb Evans the last 2 games, and it could be different with Cody Fajardo, how he builds his rapport with Tyson, but it just looks like he's the new security blanket in Montreal.
Yep.
And he's flourishing in it. Like the moment has never been too big for him. He's scoring with seems like every week. If you hammer anytime touchdown scorer, it seems like the safest bet on the betting app right now. So
dude, if I told you Tyler Snead would have 6 touchdowns this year in 2 multi-touchdown games, you would have called me insane.
Yeah.
Your first question would have been, wait, who's Tyler Snead?
It also would have been like, how did he get on the field?
That too. Right. And this is a guy that started the year on the practice squad. Right. And with injuries like we saw with Reggie and things like that. It shows how, deep these 2 cores are. And say what you want, but it shows to how awesome of a job Danny Machocha did this offseason too, finding these gems. And Danny Machocha, and obviously there's a whole team behind him with, scouting and whatnot in the US and things like that. But it shows how unreal of a job they've done so far.
Look, for a team that was supposed to be rebuilding, currently sitting one game out of first place in the East against the defending Grey Cup champions, you obviously did something right in the offseason, finding gems that not a lot of people knew or anybody knew, really. Some of these guys coming in and just balling out and getting – it seems like every week there's 2 or 3 players on the Owls that are the top performer at their position or winning player of the week or something like that.
Yeah, dude, think about it. On offense, Austin Mack, Tyler Snead came out of nowhere. We had no idea who they were. On defense, it's even crazier. Reggie Stubblefield, Kabian Ento, Cordell Rogers. I'm sure I'm missing other ones too.
We're also talking about the guy that led the team in tackles, switching from corner to linebacker before his injury.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's nuts. It's nuts. I'm saying just like what the talent we found this year. Ento's been another one that's been like, what a find. Like, what a
this guy came in and he was just starting at corner and has 2-3 interceptions?
Yeah. A touchdown, almost another touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's nuts. It's nuts the depth that we've established in, funny enough, the positions that we were most worried about coming into the season. It's crazy how it works that way, but
yeah.
So now on the agenda for the Alouettes this week are the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. We've played them once this year.
Cody's back.
First of all, before we get into that, what's your first thoughts on A, how Caleb did, and B, how important it is to have Cody back?
Look, I think Caleb did a good job. Obviously, won the 2 games.
Yeah.
There's just some moments that you could see that he's a young quarterback and still hasn't had that much experience in this league. Moments like the pick he threw where he threw it up to Q. It was just kind of, I'm under pressure. I'm going to chuck it up and hope that my guy's going to make a play.
Yeah.
And it was a play where like Q was 20 yards away from the ball and he had to sprint to try and like even make a play on that ball instead of just kind of throwing it out of bounds. But when you watch that guy with the ball in his hands in open field, man, it's exciting to see him run with that ball because he could turn say what you want about Cody with the ball in his hands and everything, but there's like a 10-year difference in Cody and Caleb.
Yeah,
young, fresh legs, a guy who's kind of known, I guess, as a running quarterback in the CFL. It's just like he could take what you think is going to be a 2-yard gain for about 70 yards if he has to.
Well, you even look at the last play of the game. I love
I
Cody.
thought he was getting caught from behind.
I love Cody. Cody's my quarterback. I think Cody gets caught there.
I also think Cody throws that ball.
Yeah. But I don't think Cody makes it to the pylon.
No, not saying that Cody would have forced a throw, but I think he would have tried a lot harder to make a throw than Caleb did.
100%. And look, there's only so much we can not complain about, but Caleb went 2-0. When your number one quarterback goes down, you don't expect him to come in and your offense not miss a beat, right? The coaches can say that all they want. We don't want to miss a beat. Nothing changes, whatever. There's gonna be something that changes up. Something's gonna be different. And I think the big thing for that was our special teams and defense were good enough to carry not a struggling offense, but the offense struggled in the first 3 quarters versus the Red Blacks. So to actually carry us, for these last 2 games is huge. I would have liked to see maybe, and again, not to say that Caleb should have been pulled or anything like that. I just would have loved to see Davis Alexander play. Obviously, like we saw him in the preseason. We've seen him train all offseason, spoke to him. I think just the excitement was there. We really wanted to see him, but no, there's only so much you can really ask of Caleb, and I think he delivered really everything you could ask of him.
I also think it made the offense so much harder to run because, one, Stanback played only one of the games.
Yeah.
And that you could tell from snap one, that box was stacked, knowing damn well that they were going to try and force feed Stanback, and kind of run more RPOs than they normally run with Cody.
Mm-hmm.
So for him, I know he didn't go crazy in the first game passing wise, but Caleb came out and showed that he could, as he gets older and as he gets more experience, to eliminate the mistakes. He showed that he could beat you with his arm.
Yeah.
Which is something that I think a lot of people doubted from him coming into the season. And I think he I know it was one game. I think he kind of shut up the people that said that he could only run and was only ever going to be a one of those, Adrian McPherson type of quarterbacks where if you yell at him start, he can't do it. But if you need him to score 14 touchdowns a year, he's going to be able to do it for you.
Yeah, no, totally. And then, like I said, so we head to Winnipeg this week. Cody's back. The offense should be back. One name that we still have no idea about is Greg Ellingson. I don't know if this guy's going to suit up at any point this year. I really don't know. But that's a wrinkle that come playoff time, if you're the Alouettes, is it something that you want to keep in your back pocket? We have Greg Ellington here, one of the best CFL receivers in the last decade, or is it our offense is rolling right now, we don't want to mess with things too much? Like that's where I don't even know the answer. I don't even know my answer yet. But
look, I think it's one of those. Hey, we dress him.
Yeah,
doesn't hurt to have him on the roster. You start him if the offense isn't clicking. We have other weapons that we could get away from him.
Yeah.
Rather easily. But to sit here and say that, a guy that could potentially be a CFL Hall of Famer
will probably be a
CFL Hall of Famer. It's not someone that I think you could just healthy scratch in the playoffs or deep in the season if you really, really need a win.
Yeah. No,
so I think you got to give him at least a chance. I think he's going to get a few games in the regular season. If your goal is for him to play in the playoffs, I think he has to get. I think Montreal, I've said it multiple times, is cemented in that number 2 team in the East.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be locked into that spot with a couple weeks left in the season. I think it's one of those, you play him, you get him his game reps the last 2-3 weeks of the season in hopes that, he catches the full offense well for the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I have to agree. And that's just, I can't wait to see him, man.
Oh man, I can't wait. I was fired up when they signed him. He's one of those guys I wanted. We said in our season preview is the guy I wanted the most. I'm like itching for him to come back.
Yeah. That's how I felt with Tyson. And Tyson hasn't, it takes time, right? Especially for a receiver where and with Cody and Caleb, like they've built a rapport with these guys in camp over the last first weeks of the season for the last 4 months. So it's tough for Tyson to come back in, and it's going to be tough for Greg Ellington to come back in. But once this offense is at full speed, it's going to be deadly.
I would even argue it's harder for Tyson to come back than Greg Ellington because Greg Ellington knows this offense. He's been in this offense. Tyson Philpott's never been in this offense.
That's true. That is also true.
I would also just like to talk about one player and one player only right now. And I'm pretty sure you know what this player is going to be. And I'm pretty sure everyone listening knows who this player is going to be because I talk about him every damn week. Yeah. Why does Walter Fletcher go off in 1 week and then the next week he's not on the damn field?
It doesn't make sense.
They put him on the 1 game injured list, but I don't know if that was more of like we need the roster spot or if he's actually hurt. But why is he not even dressed? Not even dressed. Not even dressed.
I know.
I'm so tired of it, man.
It doesn't make sense. It like something's like he had like 120 all-purpose yards against Saskatchewan or Calgary. No, I don't remember.
Saskatchewan.
Yeah, Saskatchewan, and then like it doesn't. It makes
in a game where the offense put up the most points all season. By the way,
also that. It all doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, we're off to Winnipeg this week. Schedule makers, like you could say, oh, they wouldn't know that Winnipeg or BC was going to be this good. They didn't know Toronto was going to be this good. They fucked us this year. 2 times in one season, we get Winnipeg, Toronto, BC back to back to back.
Yep.
Makes no sense.
It's actually Winnipeg, BC, Toronto again.
Yes, you're right.
And then it's Calgary.
Yeah, and then we finish off the year pretty easily.
Calgary, Ottawa, Edmonton.
Yeah.
So on.
But like I don't know. Maybe it
just makes for like, hey, you win one of those games.
You're
amazing.
Set. Like, yeah.
You're set. But like,
if we can
the ups and downs of the season doesn't make sense when you're playing the weak teams. When you're clearly the 4th best team in the league, playing the weak teams that you're beating them all, and then you play the 3 strongest teams, and like you lost the first game to Winnipeg in a shitty weather game.
Yeah,
you lost like 3 fumbles in that game. I think they could beat Winnipeg. You played Toronto. You always play Toronto hard in one of the games of the year, in my opinion, at home.
Absolutely, game of the year. We got into a shootout.
Yeah,
Toronto
lost by touchdown and like whatever, and then you got blown out by BC, whatever.
Yeah, you played.
Now you have to do it again.
But now you have to do it again. Yeah, exactly. So, if like from a making the playoffs perspective, if we can escape this winning 1 game, right, and be 7-6 at the end of this stretch, I'm okay with it. I don't want to be under 500 after this 4-game stretch. I think you have to sneak out one of the games, and I think the most realistic scenario is you probably beat Toronto one of the games or beat BC at home. That would be my.
Well, I think it depends on what's happening with Collaros.
Yeah,
I mean, I know he came back and he was practicing, or he was seen at practice there.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's playing. If he's not playing, I think that's one you have to win.
Have to, because look, when Drew Brown came in and for Collaros in the game he actually got hurt, he looked money. He was playing the Elks. That's a whole different story. Last week did not look great.
No.
So if you're Montreal and we get the news, or I don't know, I'm sure they'll treat it the same way we've been treating Cody, to where it's a game time decision. But if it comes out that Drew Brown is the starting quarterback, this turns from I'd love to sneak in, one of the 4 to this is a must-win game. Mm-hmm. It has to be. Because if this you think about it, if we win this game and then we sneak one against Toronto, we can make a push for the number 1 seed in the East, which is wild.
100%.
Yeah. But
I think it's I think even with Collaros coming off injury, hasn't been out there for a few weeks.
Yeah.
I think they could still beat Winnipeg with Collaros. Like I said, they lost 17-7 in a game where it was shitty weather. They fumbled the ball like 3 times.
Yeah.
I think that game was closer than whatever it looked like. I think
There's
they could
the,
beat Winnipeg.
there is the Kenny Lawler factor, but
Yeah. But I think back to back against Toronto, I think that one of those is a win.
you have to win one. Yeah.
I think it's very hard to beat a team twice in the same season. It's even harder to beat them in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
And it's harder to beat them 3 times in one season.
Yeah. That's
so I think I think one of those is a win.
And I don't want to say for BC, I don't want to say the wheels have fallen off because they haven't, but they don't look as good as they once did. This is a team that come week 3, they were number 1 in the power rankings. And, we were talking about, the Winnipeg dynasty's over. BC is the best team in the league. Vernon Adams is the MOP, whatever. It's a very different situation from now to where I don't think I would bet money on it, or the vast majority of people would agree, but you're in a situation now where you could make the case that Montreal could be 3 and BC could be 4, right? BC just came off a loss to Saskatchewan. You could make the case. So I think realistically, all of these are winnable games. So I think for me to feel comfortable, I'd like to win half of them. I'd like to win 2 of 4. And then, end out the year, just not momentum, but not gimme games, but like momentum building games against Ottawa or Hamilton or Edmonton and things like that, and really ride into the playoffs hot. Because if you come out of this stretch 500, like 2-2 between these games, that the momentum that you're going to ride into the playoffs, into the last few games of the season, are going to be like unreal.
Are you predicting 2-2?
I think I am. I think it's going to be. I don't know. My gut says 2-2, but I don't know why I think we could be 3-1 or 1-3. I don't think we go 0-4. I think there's no way we don't sneak one of them. But I don't see us losing to BC at home. If Collaros doesn't play, I don't see us losing to Winnipeg, and I don't see Toronto beating us back-to-back games.
Yeah. I'm going 2-2. I'm saying 2-2 personally.
Are you going to give me the games you think, or?
I think it's 1 against Toronto, and it's this weekend.
So
Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's
with Collaros or without Collaros, I think they beat Winnipeg.
Yeah. I think that's the most reasonable guess, I would say. And then for this week, outside of Collaros, which is the big, hanging, confusion, I guess, what's some of the key points that we have to that you're focusing on for the Owls this week?
Yeah, I think it's getting Tyson involved.
Yeah.
And it's just, I get that it's a new offense. I get that he's 4 weeks healthy.
3 weeks.
But a guy that dynamic needs the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
And whether it's taking the 4 screens a game that you threw to K on and giving him 3 of the 4, or jet sweeps, or I'm not saying you need to throw it 15 yards downfield to him or 30 yards downfield. I'm saying that guy just needs the ball in his hands.
Well, I think that's how they introduced him into the offense last year, right? It was those jet screens. It was he came in for select red zone plays. He came in for these select random plays. It was very tailored for Tyson Philpott. And I think to get him back into the groove, to get him back into the swing of things, you have to have an identical approach. It has to be this play is called for Tyson.
And if you're not going to use Walter Fletcher, second down running back position.
Yeah.
These are things that this guy could do.
Yeah.
That if you're not going to use another guy on the roster that should be doing it, why not use Tyson?
Yeah.
Screen passes, bubbles, stuff like that. Just get the ball in his hands quickly and let him do what he does in space.
Yeah.
And then for the defense, it's the same thing that's been happening since Sean Lemon got there, and that's just get after the quarterback.
Yeah.
Whether it's Drew Brown, whether it's Zach Collaros, you got to get after him.
Which is wild because, again, a lot of things have changed midseason, but we were talking about the Owls not being able to get pass rush, the Owls not being able to get home. Bev had 2 sacks last week. I think the Owls defense in total had 5 last week.
Bro, they had 7 sacks in 5 games before Sean Lemon.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in the first 2 games that he was here, they had more than 5.
100%, without a doubt. 100%.
This guy, the one game he had 2 of them by himself. He had a pick, He had a forced fumble recovery, man. That man just did everything.
He's a nutcase. But and again, nothing to talk bad about Nick Usher. I loved Nick Usher's time in Montreal. I loved everything about it. But you see how much more opposing offenses respect and fear Sean Lemon. And you see that in the matchups that JD is getting now. And JD is getting to the quarterback a lot more now too, right? He's getting that he's not getting that chip. He's not getting the fullback, the stack on his side, right? It's all going to Lemon, and JD's taking advantage of that. And the entire defense is taking advantage of that. And not for nothing, Noel Thorpe is drawing up and timing up some really nice blitzes and packages. Like I saw Daquan a few blitzes against Ottawa. I saw some really nice packages. Obviously, like I said, Bev had 2 sacks. So I'm really loving the improvement and not restructure, but just retooling of the entire defense.
Yeah, and we even talked about it. Like JD was getting, his pressures, but he wasn't really getting there.
Yeah.
He's starting to get there.
Yeah.
He has 3 sacks this year. Sean Lemon has 4.
Yeah.
Like this is Sean Lemon has 4 in 4 games.
Yeah.
Like this is exactly what we needed, what we were like pressing for. And now JD has 3 and 7.
Yeah.
Which I think he had 1 before Lemon was here.
Yeah, he did.
So in 4 games, your 2 starting pass rushers have 6 sacks. You can't really ask for any more than that.
Nope. And you tie that in with what my favorite defensive player, Mustafa Johnson and Mondo and all of them have been doing too. And honestly, Loa Luguak too has been great in rotation. You combine that with what they're all doing and the pressure you're getting from the linebackers, like it's a huge difference. And you're seeing it too with the play in the DBs, right? We're getting so many more balls chucked up and things like that. And also saying that now, I completely forgot Ciante Evans was on the Alouettes. What the
Wait till he's back, man.
I just completely forgot Ciante Evans was on the Owls.
Wait till he's back and he's getting the time to cover those receivers, those speedy DB receivers that were beating him in the first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah.
This guy's going to have like 7 picks.
It's just weird. Like, how does he go from game time decision to where Cordell Rogers had to warm up like by himself because it was that much of a late last minute decision to being out for 5 straight weeks? I don't get how it goes from one
and like not hearing anything about him.
No, I don't get that. But anyways, once he gets back, once that the whole defense is retooled and ready to go, it's going to be very scary come playoff time. And you saw this last year with the Owls, right? The Owls got hot at the right time. And I think it's going to be the exact same situation this year. And I think we have a better team and honestly better coaching, I would say, to where we can beat a team like Toronto or a team like Winnipeg come playoff time. 100%. I have no doubt.
I think we finally have the offense to compete with what they were scoring against us. And the defense is just always comes together late in the season in Montreal, it seems like.
Yeah.
Seems like every year we're sitting there like panicking about the defense around like week 3, week 4, week 5. And then they're winning playoff games because of the defense.
Yep. And
now they have the offense that can keep up with the defense if Cody's fully healthy and Cody's playing like he was at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, but you think about it, the last few weeks, this defense has been amazing. Let's call it what it is. You're missing your starting middle linebacker, huge free agent signing Avery Williams. He'll be back, right? Najee won't be back, but you're missing Ciante. You're missing all these guys, like, and the defense is still performing like that. Imagine in 3, 4, 5 weeks from now, come playoff time when everyone's healthy.
Yeah. I'd also just like to say that preseason bet of 7.5 wins is looking amazing.
Smoked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Shayner, this was a blast. Much needed.
Always is.
We will not leave you guys hanging for 3 weeks like we did just now. We will be back next week without a doubt, following the Owls game against Winnipeg. But as always, guys, drop a like on the video, drop a follow on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Twitter. And Shayner, any last words here?
Owls by 4 on Thursday.
Oh baby, Owls by 4.5. Lock it in.
Oh baby.